Hello everyone, my name is Muir, and this is Starsector version 0.96a-RC10. And this is the Combined Arms Sunder. Now, the Combined Arms Sunder is actually really dangerous for what it does. But before we get into that, if this video gets 200 likes, I will consider making a Combined Arms Fleet Doctrine playthrough of Starsector latest patch. And yeah, it should be a whole lot of fun. Let's get this up to about 200 likes and see how it does. But alright, the Combined Arms Sunder, what do we got? Well, we have a high intensity laser, an ion beam, and a graviton beam. Why are we using this? Well, high intensity laser, it does about 2000 armor damage. Meaning that if an enemy ship, say an enemy Sunder dropped their shields, after around an eighth of a second, it has no armor anymore. On top of that, we have a graviton beam, which does double shield damage, so we're looking at 200 flux damage per second to shields, but it does something else that's kind of important, and that is, in this case, it would increase the amount of shield damage a ship takes by an additional 5%. As it is being shot by a graviton beam. The other one that we have is the ion beam here. Now, it's important to keep in mind about the Combined Arms Fleet Doctrine is that really we're more interested in controlling and disabling enemy ships while we kill them than just outright killing them. Because killing them is kind of easy. Killing them and not having your fleet destroyed, that's the hard part. Now, the nice part about the ion beam is that its range is great, but the other thing is, it's also incredibly terrifying to the enemy AI, to ship AI, because ships will do almost everything that they can to avoid taking EMP damage. You can't effectively fight if your engines get disabled, now can you? Now that's great for us because that means that they will more or less just sit there with their shields up until they either overload or get really close to overloading and then just drop their shields to basically just not overload. At which point they take, 2000 damage to their armor per second and start taking massive damage to their hull very quickly. Now, we also have two Swarmer SRM launchers, as you know if you've seen the other videos on the Combined Arms ships. We really like these Swarmer missiles. Over time, they do twice as much damage as a Reaper. They just do it over time instead of all at once. But alright, what kind of hull features do we have? We have advanced optics, so we can get an extra 200 units of range out of this. We have flux coil adjunct and flux distributor. What's important about these two is that when they are built in, they actually are equivalent in cost to just adding more vents. So in essence, we have added an extra 8 vents and 8 capacitors to this ship with these two. After that, we also have the integrated targeting unit. So what this means is this has a range of 1000, now has a range of 1200, and now has a range of 1400. Which means this will start dealing damage to enemy ships before most enemy destroyers can get within range to deal damage to it. Whoever shoots first typically wins first, but not always. But alright, that is the Sunder. Here is the weapon groups, how they are laid out. Again, you also want to do this. This is actually kind of important. As the Sunder starts getting up to about half its total flux, it will start switching some weapons off, just so it can try to burn off some of that flux passively, while still trying to keep some pressure on the enemy. So that is kind of important, so keep that in mind. It will start swapping these things off. If you are flying the Sunder yourself, I recommend just sitting on the missiles and using those at your discretion. But, alright. Max out your capacitors, max out your vents, and there you go, that's the build. Now, this would be the warship that you have other ships escorting if you decide to use the Combined Arms Fleet Doctrine. So ideally what this would look like would be a Sunder, a Sunder being escorted by a Drover, and either a Vanguard or a Monitor, while an Afflictor or a Gremlin is in the enemy backline causing a lot of chaos, so that the enemies aren't able to just focus all their attention on the Sunder and the Drover. You want them distracted, you want them sort of split up. And yeah, just so this guy can start just murking people. Because other destroyer level ships, this guy will just destroy them very quickly. But alright guys, that has been the Sunder Combined Arms Fleet Doctrine ship, I guess. And yeah, let me know how this works for you in your games. Hopefully it works out great. Alright everyone, I will catch you all next time.